Hello everyone and welcome back to the next installment of our 9.2 raid guides, proudly presented by Coinbase. This is Crzypck from Team Liquid, and today we'll show you how to kill Mythic Anduin in the Sepulcher of the first ones. As a reminder, all of our Mythic guides are written with the assumption you understand how the fight works on Heroic. As such, this video is focused on the Mythic changes in strategy, and we won't be reviewing how Heroic mechanics work. If you need a refresher on the basic mechanics, check out the Heroic guide video on our channel. On Mythic, Anduin is a pretty long encounter and the Mythic changes are really impactful. Given this, we'll go through each stage of the encounter by itself, the changes present, and the strategy to get through that stage. Let's jump right in. For comp, we recommend 2 tanks, 5 heals, and 13 DPS. The biggest overall change to the fight is an alteration in the way Blasphemy works. On Mythic, in addition to exploding from touching someone with the same color circle as you, you'll now also explode if you touch a player who doesn't have a circle at all. This includes touching someone who already completed clearing their own circle. This gets super dicey every time it's cast and will cause a bunch of wipes, especially really early on in your prog. To counter this, we recommend having everyone spread out right before the circles go out. As soon as the colors get assigned, work on finding a partner. People who have already gotten their circle removed should run directly to melee range. Do not, under any circumstances, be in melee range if you still have a circle on you. Find a friend, give each other a hug, and clear your circle, then go into melee. Once everyone is cleared, spread back out a bit. You can largely handle a Blasphemy cast like this for all of stages 1 and 2. The next big change is related to Kingsmourne and how you both get in and out of the Kingsmourne realm. When a player is hit by Kingsmourne and put into the Shadow Realm, they'll leave behind a Severed Soul ad. These ads will chain cast Banish Soul, an 8-second cast. If the cast completes, the player linked to that ad will die. When the Severed Soul ad is killed, the linked player is brought out of the Shadow Realm. If the timer for the Shadow Realm expires and the Severed Soul ad is still alive, the linked player is instantly killed. Oh, and that cast we mentioned earlier, it can't be interrupted with standard interrupts either. Fortunately, these ads can be stunned, including AoE stuns. When Kingsmourne happens, you'll want the players assigned to go down to stack up tightly, ensuring the ads are on top of each other. The players who remain upstairs need to slowly AoE these ads down, timing when the ads die for after the players in the Shadow Realm are finished, but before the timer expires. While damaging the ads, you'll need to utilize AoE stuns to stop the casts. We recommend using stuns with 2 seconds or less remaining on the casts. For the Kingsmourne teams, we recommend each individual team have 9 assigned players, 1 tank, 2 heals, and 6 DPS. The timers for this are the same as they were on Heroic. The other twist is that every ad in the Shadow Realm now gives slightly less willpower. A perfect Kingsmourne phase now only gives 50 willpower total, not 60, so there's really no margin for error. If you go into the Intermission with less than 100 willpower, it's likely either people will die or you'll miss the DPS checks that we'll discuss later. Everybody inside the Kingsmourne needs to be on top of their game and execute well, killing all the hostile ads and healing up all of the friendly ones. When assigning groups, 2 people won't be assigned to either team. We recommend that these 2 players consist of 1 Warlock and 1 healer. If your team has a Disc Priest, have them be the healer who only stays upstairs. For the remainder of your raid, each individual team must have 3 players that have an AoE stun. You need 4 total for each set of the ads, and keeping a Warlock upstairs gives you 1 already. A lot of abilities actually work for this, including Chaos Nova, Shadow Fury, Incapacitating Roar, Blinding Light, Leg Sweep, and Sundering, just to name a handful. Basically, any AoE stun or incapacitate effect will work. Just ensure the players for each Kingsmourne phase have assigned at least 3 of these abilities between them, with a Warlock filling the 4th slot. Have a preset order for each set of stuns, and like we said earlier, try to use the stuns with less than 2 seconds remaining on the casts for the ads. Getting the ads low, and timing killing them as soon as the Shadow Realm team completes the downstairs ads is the real difficulty here. Next up, there's a couple changes for the intermissions. The Walls of Ghosts will now happen in both intermissions on Mythic, not just the second one. Also, each Army of the Dead cast will create a monster soul, not just the first cast per phase. These still will always cast at necrotic detonation at around 40% health, and these things have a huge amount of health on Mythic. All DPS will need to hard swap slightly before the cast begins, and absolutely ensure the ad dies before the cast completes or you wipe. Allocate a few DPS cooldowns specifically for this as necessary. This is still a bit of a tight DPS check, especially if you have less than 100 willpower, so make sure every player is swapping properly. One other note, the swirlies from the little ads hurt real bad, you don't want to stand in them. If you get hit by one and you have less than 100 willpower, it'll almost certainly kill you. The intermissions have the same timing as Heroic. You'll want to do as much damage to the Lich King as you possibly can and get Anduin as low as possible. We recommend popping Bloodlust at the very beginning of the first intermission as soon as that very first cast of Army of the Dead completes. In Stage 2, the Grim Reflection ads have a new mechanic associated with them. When a Grim Reflection dies, all remaining reflections gain 250% increased haste, stacking. Oh, and there's now 4 that spawn. By the time the first 3 are dead, the 4th one's Psychic Terror ability is only a 1-second cast. The good news is, the Grim Reflections can also be fully stunned with no diminishing returns. You'll get 2 total sets of them in Stage 2. These spawn at set locations at the 4 cardinal directions. You'll want to hard CC 3 of them and bring the boss to the remaining one. Kill that ad first, then move to the second one, and then a third. You should be able to kill the very first 3 of these before the first Kingsmourne cast completes. About 5 seconds before the first Kingsmourne cast of Stage 2, you'll want to bring the boss on top of the 4th and final Grim Reflection. All players going down for the first Kingsmourne team should stack directly on top of this final Grim Reflection, so all the Severed Soul ads spawn on top of the reflection. Once the Kingsmourne cast completes, the remaining players upstairs should focus DPS on the reflection and kill it ASAP. Handle the Severed Souls as you did in Stage 1, but make sure to mix in some longer individual single target stuns on that reflection until it dies. The second Grim Reflection will spawn a little bit after the first Kingsmourne team comes back upstairs. This time, crowd control 3 of them and kill the first one as soon as possible. Then, about 5 seconds before the second Kingsmourne cast, bring the boss to whatever reflection you plan on killing second. Drop all of the Severed Souls on top of the second reflection, and the entire upstairs team will then focus damage on that reflection. Kill it ASAP. You'll want to leave the remaining 2 Grim Reflections fully crowd controlled until the second Kingsmourne team comes back upstairs. Then, kill them one at a time and keep them stun locked. Make sure the 4th Grim Reflection dies before the intermission. Since there's more Grim Reflections on Mythic, you'll have to be a little bit more careful with those Wicked Stars than you were on Heroic. They're not that huge of a deal, just ensure stars never shot towards a Grim Reflection. Have some markers around the edge of the room in the directions that are going to be safe, and ensure the Wicked Star targets move towards those markers. Ideally, you'll want to set up the markers kind of near wherever the first Grim Reflection ad is going to be. For the second intermission, you'll just handle it exactly as the first one. The only difference is this time you won't have Bloodlust, so it might be harder to kill the first monster soul. Allocate DPS cooldowns accordingly if needed. Some teams may want to fully assign half the DPS to hold CDs for the first soul and have the remaining CDs for the second soul. Some teams may not want or need to do this. It's really going to depend on your team and your team's overall DPS. Do what works for you. Get Anduin's health as low as possible, as you want Stage 3 to be as short as you can possibly get it to be. In Stage 3, the Hopelessness Circles retain the mythic buff from Stages 1 and 2. Basically, if you have a circle and you touch any other player, you explode and both of you die. Also, when you run your circle into the bubble in the middle to clear it, a small yellow soak circle will appear somewhere on the platform. If a player with a Hopelessness Circle soaks this, it'll explode harmlessly for no damage and remove that player's circle. However, if the yellow circle goes unsoaked, it'll explode for 42,000 damage to the entire raid. To handle the Hopelessness debuffs, spread out. Have 3 melee clear their circles in the bubble first, and have 3 healers soak the first 3 yellow circles. Keep repeating this with 3 people clearing, 3 people soaking, until the debuffs are gone. You'll likely only need to clear debuffs once or twice due to how short stage 3 is with double Lego and full 4-piece tier sets on your raid. The more dangerous change will be the Wicked Stars getting empowered, which makes them larger, makes the dot last longer, and makes you unable to attack or cast for 6 seconds. Getting hit by a star will likely kill you. You'll get 3 people targeted for empowered Wicked Stars per cast. Make sure not to stand in the path of these. They're fairly simple overall to dodge, but if you get hit, it's really bad. Keep your eyes open because they will persist for the remainder of the fight and just keep bouncing around everywhere. Aside from this, when the boss casts Empowered Hopebreaker, stack near the boss and use at least 1 raid cooldown and 2 if necessary. From here, it's just keep repeating what we talked about until the boss dies. If a few players die, that's fine. You can limp through this stage with a pretty small number of players. Just keep going, dodge stars, clear hopelessness, soak the yellow circles, and kill the boss. If you enjoyed this guide, remember to like it and make sure you're subscribed to the channel to catch all of our previews, guides, kill videos, and more. A big thank you to Coinbase for making guides like these possible. From everyone here at Team Liquid, have a great day, and we'll see you for the next video.